So let's start from Nun Aleph, Amud Aleph 51a. Let's review that last case again. So we got a little clarity after we zoomed off. So let's correct ourselves. Um, okay, so we're continuing the Mishnah, the fourth line of the two dots, about the people that cannot establish a legal right to the land. Usually, if you're there for 3 years and the original owner doesn't say anything, so then when you come and say it's my land, you are believed. A wife cannot establish a chazaka with the property of the husband, b'nichsei baila. So one of the parts of the ksuba is that the husband has to sustain the wife. So now the fact that she's been eating apples from the apple field and berries, from the berry orchard, and now she's like, look, I've been here for 3 years. It's mine. Gemara says, Pshita, what do you mean? What did you do? You ate sustenance that the husband gave you? Great. Kaven the Islam mezoni hu de ka'achel. You're just eating sustenance that he's supposed to sustain you with. That's nothing. We don't assume the fact that he didn't say anything, therefore belongs to you. He didn't say anything because he's just fulfilling his obligation of allowing you to be fed. So that can't be the case of the Mishnah. That case is too obvious. Lo tzricha, we need it for the following case. So I think we saw yesterday after Zoom was that, let's say he has a 20-acre field, 5 acres is designated for the wife to be able to sustain herself from there. Meanwhile, she goes and she's dabbling in the 6th acre and the 7th acre also. She found some good produce over there. So technically, she shouldn't be taking from there. However, the husband is not going to, he's not so but he's not so strict with her. No, he closes one eye to, when she's taking from a property that she's not supposed to take from. So if that's the case, right? She's eating from that land. So then, and she's like, oh, I've been here for 3 years. Look, it's not part of my original 5-acre land I'm allowed to take from. So we say, no. The fact that he didn't make a protest, that he didn't protest, it's not a proof that it belongs to you. That's he's just not so strict with you. He's a nice guy. So therefore, that's the case in the Mishnah. Maybe you would have thought she's eating something which doesn't belong to her. That part of the land is not technically hers. Kamash Malan, the Mishnah teaches us, in that case, you still will not be able to establish a chazaka because of the fact that the husband is not so strict with his wife. So now, says the Gemara, the same thing that said in the previous Amud. Chazaka, we said in the Mishnah, doesn't have. What if you bring a proof? And right now we're assuming the proof is she brings witnesses. I paid for this land. I gave money and I bought it. So it sounds like chazaka she doesn't have. But if she were to bring a proof that this land belongs to her, so then what's better than a proof? So says the Gemara, a very interesting svara. Lema legaluye zuzi hudebai. Even in the case where she brings a proof that she paid for the land, we have this idea. We're going to see if we accept it or reject it in a second. But the Gemara says when he accepted money, he didn't accept money as a consumer, right? He's not buying the land. He's not selling as a salesman. Mm-hmm. He's not selling the land to her. Where'd she get this money from? Oh, she's been hiding this money the whole time? Whose money is this? Oh, she's hiding money from me. Really supposed to belong to me, but she hasn't. So that's why I just did this as a whole excuse to get the money that belongs to me back. So the fact that he accepted money, he didn't accept money as a seller. He accepted money as a husband who is suspicious that his wife's been hiding money from him, and therefore he wants that money. So maybe even if she brings a proof that she gave money for this land, you could say lema legaluye to reveal Zuzi's money, to reveal money hudebai. He's just doing this to reveal that hidden money that was there that really belongs to him. Either money she didn't tell him about, or money maybe that she made while they were married that belongs to him. Money that he has a legal right to, she's been hiding from him. So maybe let's say maybe let's say that. If you were to say that, what happens? You learn from there. If you sell a field to your wife, kansa, she acquires it. Below amrina legluy zuzi hudebai. Why? our Mishnah says that you don't have a chazaka in the husband's land, but a proof you do have. What about this idea that when she brings the witnesses that she's bought the land from the husband? Well, you would have thought maybe Lema that he's just accepting the money because that money belongs to him. But you see in the Mishnah not like that, because chazaka she doesn't have, but a proof. We infer from the Mishnah a proof that would be good. So if a proof would be valid, what does that mean? It means that you do not say this idea of he's only accepting money because he thinks that money belongs to him in the first place. Right, Jules? Right? Yeah, good. Okay. So since you don't say that, so therefore you can infer the following rule. If you would sell a field to your wife, she paid you money for it, you've acquired it, that's fine. And we don't say below, we don't say this idea of the galuye zuze hu debayu. Says the Gemara, hold on, not so fast. Right? Yeah. So Ema, when we made this inference that there's no chazaka in the husband's land, but there is a proof, we understood it was a regular case where she has witnesses that she gave over money to the husband. But maybe you can infer like this. Ema haraya yesh b'shar matana. Infer from the Mishnah there's no chazaka, but there is a proof. Oh, there's many different ways you can buy a field. You can have a document saying that the husband is giving the field to the wife. So maybe she has witnesses that that's what happened. Well, if he gave it over to her as a present, as a shtar matana, then there's no money transference over here. If there's no money transference over here, so then maybe you really agree that if there was a transfer of money, you would say this idea of leguluye zuzi hu debai. He's not really accepting the money as a sale. He's accepting money because he thinks it belongs to him. The Mishnah, we infer from the Mishnah that there is a case, if you bring up proof, it would be valid. That case is a case of a shtar matana, when he wrote her a document, when he gave her the field over as a present. In that case, there was no transference of money, and that's the case where she would establish a legal right to the land if she brings witnesses that he wrote her a shtar matana. Yeah,
never gets some.
Right. If she, the Rambam points out, if she has the shtar herself, the proof she has is she's holding a document saying, "You gave me this land as a present, these 5 acres to me." So in that case, we say that he really meant to give it to her. But if she would have given him money for the transaction, so then maybe you'd say he didn't accept the money as a transaction. Rather, he accepted the money just because he felt it belonged to him in the first place. Yeah. Okay. Amar le Rav Nachman le Rav Huna. Rav Nachman told Rav Huna, Lo have mar gaben beorta betchuma de amrinan mili mal yasa. So he tells Rav Huna, he said, you were not in the base medrash last night. Betchuma really means a boundary. They used to have their batei medrash where they used to learn, used to be in the outskirts of the fields. That way it'd be easier for people to come on Shabbos from all different places. They would come. So he says, you were not there, betchuma, which means the base medrash, and you missed. Right? And it's always that guy that, misses one day in yeshiva, the next day he gets over the head. Oh, you missed a good shir. That's the one day you shouldn't have missed. Right? So that's what Nachman tells him. This is the one day you should not have missed. Why? He said a lot of good stuff that day.
Wow.
Amarle, my mili ma'al yasa amrisai. Okay, well, maybe you could fill me in a little bit. What did I miss? What were the great things that were said that I missed? So that was Rav Huna's question back to Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman responds, you missed the following beauty. Hamocher sadeh leishtam. A husband sells a field to his wife. Kansa, she acquires the field. V'lo amrinan legaluye suze hu debai. And we don't say this idea that when he accepts money, he accepts it because he's just revealing the money that really belonged to him. So apparently they were fighting about this in yeshiva, back and forth for a long time. Back and forth, proofs from here. At the end of the day, this is their conclusion. And that was a big novelty. You would have left off, not sure what would be in this case. And now I'm telling you, you missed the conclusion. The conclusion was, we don't assume that when a husband accepts money, he's just accepting money as a revelation of that money that really belonged to him. Rather, he accepts money as a regular salesman, and therefore the sale is valid. So that's what Rav Nachman told Rav Huna that he missed. So now Rav Huna says back to Rav Nachman, Amar le pshita. It's not a novelty. I don't come to Shiva for that. I'll stay home another day if I need to. If that's what you tell me is the novelty, Shiva. Amar le.
You mean he says duh?
Yeah, exactly. He said that's obvious, duh. Yeah, Amar le pshita. Why? Dal zuzi mehacha v'tikni b'shtara. What happened over here? There was a document written up that said, I'm selling this field to this and this lady. He wrote up a document, right? I'm selling the field for $1,000, and witnesses sign on it. Yeah. Now, the fact that, forget the money for a second, there's a transference of a document, right? I mean, there's a document written up, but it said in the document everything that happened. Me, the husband, and selling my wife, this is for $1,000. So let's say there was no transference of money. Even so, you could still acquire the field because he's giving over to her a document. When he gives over a document, that also shows a level of validity. So just because there was a transference of money, but the fact that he wrote a document, forget the money. He gave her a document saying, here's the field. So of course that would be a good acquisition. So Dal Zuzima, forget the money, take the money away from her, let's say there was no money here. V'tiknu b'shtara, you can acquire this land with a document. So when he gives the document with the money, so that's already enough of intent that he has that we don't assume, oh, you're just getting the money. If there was money given over with no document, maybe there you'll say he's just taking money that really belonged to him. If he wrote up a whole document already, so then a document itself serves as a valid form of acquisition. How do we know that? Milo Tanan, did we not learn in a mission? Nechasim, Sheishan Achrayas, Niknum Bekesef B'Shtar B'Chazaka. So Nechasim, property, Sheyesh, or one's possessions, say that one's possessions, Nechasim Sheishan Achrayas, they have responsibility, meaning real estate, not movables. Real estate have a responsibility, meaning that whenever you lend money or whenever you sell something, right? If you're creditor, if you owe people money, so you owe many people a lot of money. You have many credit card debts. So your fields, your real estate has a lien that if you were to sell your real estate, and your creditors are going to come and say, you had no right to sell. Your real estate has a responsibility because if you owe a lot of people money and then you go and you sell real estate, the creditors can always come to the buyer and take the land back from them. That's referred to as nechasim sheyesh lan achrayas. It's property, it's my possession, but it has a responsibility to pay back the creditors no matter what happens afterwards. And those fields, the Mishnah says in Kiddushin, you can acquire such fields. It's just a fancy way to say real estate. That's all it is. Yeah, real estate. You can acquire real estate with money, or with a shtar, with a document, or with a chazaka. So what do you see? That novelty that you told me that they said in the Beis Medrash that if you have a field and the husband sells it to his wife and the husband accepts money for it, that it's a good sale, of course. Because as long as there's a document written up, the field could have been acquired with a document. And the fact that the husband wrote up a document and gave it to the wife, that itself would be enough to sell this field to the wife. So just because there was money, we don't say, oh yeah, he really meant to accept the money, just to reveal the money that really belonged to him. So that's what Rav Huna, he fought back against Rav Nachman. That's not such a novelty. So now Amar le, so Rav Nachman said back to him, V'lav itmar Allah, on this mission that you just brought to me, that real estate is acquired in three ways: money, a document, or a chazaka. Shmuel said, what kind of document is it? Lo shanu ela b'shtar matana. The document that we referred to was a document of a gift. A matana is a gift. That's the document where you can acquire real estate. Aval b'shtar mecher lo kana achi yitin lo damel. But a shtar mecher, a sale, if you're selling something not as a present, you want to sell the field to the lady, and you want to get money for it. So that is not sold until you receive the money, right? Why? So the Rashbam explains, because a husband who's selling something, right, until he gets the money, he doesn't have full intent to give up his field. Makes sense, right? Show me the money. You get the money, you'll sell the field. If he wants to give her a gift, that's something else. So he writes a document and says, I'm giving this to you as a gift. Okay. So what are you trying to tell me, that just because you wrote a document, that document itself could have acquired real estate? It's not true. Shmuel said only one kind of document, the shtar matana, but a document of sale, until you receive the money. So then, until you receive the money, it's not going to be a valid sale. Therefore, there was a big novelty that was set over in the Beis Medrash. Jared, talking about a case, Jared? Very easy to fill you in. Yeah. A husband sells a wife. A husband sells a field. sells. He's getting excited. A husband sells a field to his wife, right? And she gives him money. Maybe you could say he never received that money as a means of a sale. Maybe she's hiding money from him. Where'd you get this money from? I saw her take my credit card. So he didn't accept the money, and if you don't accept the money in the way of a sale, so then it's not going to be valid.
There's no acquiring of it.
Exactly. Intent plays a big role in everything. So when you receive something, when you do a transaction, yeah. Okay. So now we're saying, if you want to sell something, until you get the money, you don't have the level of intent that is required for the sale to be a valid sale. Okay. That was the rebuttal on that. Now he asked that Shmuel said. You gotta hold the train of thought, the paper trail, as they say. You have to. That Shmuel said that the only document that's needed the only document that's valid when you want to give over property is a document of a matana, of a gift. But if you would have a document of a sale, then it's not going to be valid until you actually get the money. The lav mosiv Rav Hamnuna. Didn't Rav Hamnuna attack Shmuel and say, Bishtar, so let's say you write up a sale, but you write it up on something which is worth less than a pruta, right? Whatever, worth less than a few cents. So, Ketzat Kasav lo ala niyar, on a little piece of paper, or ala cheres, on earthenware, afal pi she'ein bo sheva pruta, right? This thing is not worth a sheva pruta, which is the minimal amount that you need to acquire things. So, and you write on there, Sadai mechuralach, Sadai knuyalach, my field is sold to you, my field is acquired to you. Hare zu mechura v'nesuna. That's a great sale. It's a great sale. So what do you see from here? He's not trying to gift it to somebody. He's saying, my field is sold to you. And he wrote it on something which is worth less than a sheva pruta. So what do you see? That you could sell real estate just by writing up a document of sale. You don't need to have a document of a gift. And you don't need to receive money. As long as you have this, and that's enough to acquire the field. You give this over to the buyer. The buyer now has proof that you sold him the field. So you see the level of intent you need to sell something is enough for the document. So we say, okay, but that which Rav Hamnuna asked on Shmuel, he himself had the answer. Sometimes you ask a question, and as you ask the question, you realize the answer also, right? V'lav hu mosiv lav hu mefarek la. Rav Hamnuna asked the question, and Rav Hamnuna answered the question. What case is that talking about? That you write on something which is less than the minimal amount, that's less than a sheva pruta. That's b'mocher sadeyu mipnei ra'asa. That's you're selling a field because it's very low quality. Ra'asa, like ra, like bad. Right? It's a very low quality field. In a very low quality field, I guess I don't know how to assess it exactly. But who assesses? Is there a bezdin? I don't know exactly. You think it's low quality. Other guys in heaven, he's so happy. It's like if you come from an apartment in Eretz Yisrael, you get a house in Portland, you're thrilled. But the guy who came from Beverly Hills, from a mansion to a house like this, So I'm not sure exactly how you assess it, but there's a certain field that's, I guess, objectively, I don't know, maybe check market value.
Call the appraiser.
Call the appraiser, right?
Professional appraiser.
So that field that's low quality, that's the field that can be sold with just a document of sale, because the seller, in a case of a low quality field, he doesn't need to wait for the money to have a level of intent to agree to sell it. But a regular field, Shmuel is right, a regular field, remember, real estate is very valuable, right? This is what people collect from. This is like, it's immovable. It's not going to go anywhere. It's always here. That land is here.
Right.
So that's we require for that, once he sees the money, then that document will be a valid document. So therefore, we're not going to reject Shmuel, and Shmuel will stand. And therefore, there was a novelty that was said over in the Beis Medrash that Rav Huna missed out on by not being there. What was that novelty? That a husband that sells a field to his wife, right? She and gives the money over. We don't say that the money was accepted because he's just saying, "Ooh, that money was mine the whole time." He actually accepted the money as a valid sale. And this idea that you can buy it with a field, and anyways, so that's not true. The only document that you could acquire property with is a document of a gift, but a document of sale needs a transference of money. Okay, fine. Phew. You can breathe a little bit, but not too much. So yeah. Okay. So now comes Rav Ashi.
Just keep repeating.
Oh, in the parentheses, yeah. Rabbi Mesayim Mishneh Rav Nachman. Some have it, some don't. Rav Ashi Amar b'matana bikesh litnalo. So now, Rav Ashi's coming. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, I'm just, what does you say about what Rav Ashi's going on? Rav Ashi, 1 second. I think he's coming against Shmuel. Right, we challenged Shmuel from a brisa. What was that brisa? Oh, the brisa about writing something on less than Sheva Pruta, right? Yeah, exactly. We asked the kasha, right? We asked the kasha on Shmuel. What was our difficulty on Shmuel? Shmuel, you said that you're not allowed to sell something. Property cannot be transferred with a document unless money is given over. And we told you that if you write something on less than Sheva Pruta, it's going to be good. So one answer we had was it's a low quality field. Now comes Rav Ashi and says, no, it's really a different case. Really, bikesh litnei lo. He wants to give it over as a present. So he's giving over this document as a present. But the words that are written are words of a sale. Sadeh mechuralach, sadeh knuyalach. So like, why is he doing this? It's like a funny thing. I want to give this to you as a present, but I'm adding these words into this document, which seem like it's a sale. Why does he do that? Kidei liyapos kocho. Because a buyer that acquires real estate, right? Real estate is always at risk of being taken away from him by the seller's creditors. If you got this as a present and now it gets taken away from you, you cannot come to the seller or to the gifter and say, reimburse me, right? Seller gave buyer, or Reuben gave Shimon a field as a present. Now, next thing you know, Jules comes and takes the field back because Reuben owed him money. So now, if I got it as a present, I can't come to the guy that gave me a gift and say, reimburse me. So what do? You can write in the gift a language of a sale, sadeh mechuralach, and now, even though it's a present, you didn't give money for it, but it's liyapos kocho, it's to increase his power, meaning you give the buyer a chance, or the person you're giving the gift to, in the event that it ever comes and gets seized by my creditors, I'm happy to reimburse you. So in such a case, that's a good present. Yeah, present that always you have a certain insurance on the present. Okay.
Next time I give a gift.
Right. Next time you give a gift. Yeah. Yeah. Right. The nun aleph and aleph, the gift gemara. Yeah. So okay. So that's how Rav Ashi. So he didn't say it was talking about something which is low quality field. Rather, it's talking about a case where you want to give something as a gift, and you wrote a language of a sale. So Shmuel still stands, and that we asked from writing a document less than a sheva pruta, we have two answers. Either it's a low quality field, so you need less level of intent, and even that suffices, or it's a case where you giving something as a present, you just wrote a language of a sale because you want to make sure that the guy that gets the gift, in the event that if it ever gets taken away from him, he'll be reimbursed for his money. Meisvei. Now we're going to ask him this whole idea that when a husband accepts money from his wife, he's not taking money that was really his the whole time. He actually accepts it as a valid sale. What's the difficulty? Meisvei. We ask from a brisa, lova mina eved. It's an interesting case that you take and you borrow. So you borrow from your eved, from your servant, and then you free him, the shichro, and then you free him. He's free to go. Or you borrow from your wife, mina isha, the girsha. It doesn't mean that's happening the next second. You borrow, you're out of here. But at some point you borrowed, and at some point you either let him go or you divorce. Now you have to figure out just a technical detail how an eved has his own money. Exactly, there are cases. If someone else gives him money on the condition that your master that doesn't have the ability to use it. There are very few cases because everything an eved gets belongs to the master, right? Masha kana eved kana rabba. But there are certain cases that the eved will be able to have his own money, and the master borrowed that money, and the wife is the same way. Somehow she also got money. Usually, an isha, whatever she gets, also goes to the husband. But certain cases that she'll have her own money, the husband borrows it and then divorces her. So now what happens? They want the money back. Time came, and now it's time to pay back. So in that case, the husband or the master does not need to give the money back. So why not? What could be the reason? Usually when you borrow money, the rule is you got to pay back, right? It's because it's borrowed money. It doesn't belong to you. But in this case of a servant or of a wife, ein lahana love klum, the wife and the servant do not have the ability to reclaim their money. What could be the reason? My taima. So the only reason we can think of is what we start off today with. Lav mishum de amrina and legaluye zuzi hu debai. Hold on. How do the wife get the money? How did the eved get the money? Where's this $2 million from? You just pulled out of left field. I've been watching the whole time for all these years. Where do you get that from? Oh, it's my money. Oh, okay. So I got my money back from him. Fantastic. So hold on. So you see that a person can take money, and even though it's in the form of a loan, maybe it's not really a loan. He's just getting money back that belongs to him.
Okay.
So maybe so too in a sale, when you acquire money, when you get money in a sale, like our case, a husband sells the field to his wife, that money that he's getting is also not money of a sale, of a transaction. Rather, it's money that he was his the whole time. So that's our difficulty. Says the Gemara, hold on. There's a difference between a loan and a sale. Not so fast. What's the difference? Yeah, it's getting into the depths of people. Shiny Hassam, Delo Nichale Lishrei Nafshe. Yeah, Shiny Hassam, Delo Nichale Lishrei Nafshe. Eved Love Leishmal. Hold on. By a loan, people do not want to borrow money so fast. Because when you borrow money, the pasuk says, Eved Love Leishmalva. Eved Love, the borrower becomes a servant to the one who lent him money, right? Meaning nobody wants to walk around with heavy loans on them. That's not something exciting, at least for most people, right? So Eved Love Leishmalva. If I remember correctly, that this pasuk has actually ramifications in halacha. If they argue which court to go to get their money back, I think if I remember correctly, Eved Lo B'Li'ish Malva, the Malva gets to choose, I believe. But I have to check it up. He'll choose the court of law. But Eved Lo B'Li'ish Malva tells you that. So one second. So when you receive money from a loan, when you want to borrow money from your servants, since the underlying assumption of people is they don't really want to borrow money because having a big loan on you is not something which people want, and we're suspicious where this guy get the money from, that's where we say when you receive the money as a loan, you're just receiving it because it was yours all along.
Because you were schmuck to start with, is what you're saying?
You say that. I don't. Yeah, I mean, the owner's like, where's his money from?
Yeah.
So listen, he has a valid right. He's like, where's the guy get $2 million from? Let's do a loan. And he does a loan, and now obviously, if somehow the woman of Ebed can bring a proof it was there the whole time, okay, game over. But in the event that they don't do that, so then you have this idea, but it's only in a limited case. Okay, so that was a long amud. Yeah, don't worry, it's no shorter on the next amud. So Shalach Rav Huna bar Avin. Rav Huna bar Avin sent the following question: Hamocher sadel ishto, a husband sells, right? Rav Huna sent this letter to the Rashbam says to the Talmidei Beis HaMedrash. He had a question, he sends it in to the people in the Beis Medrash. So I guess he also couldn't come that day, or he was far away. Shalach Rav Huna bar Avin hamocher sadel ishto. Turning the page. Kansa. So the field is acquired. So the husband sells a field to his wife. She acquires the field. Uba'al ochel peros. And the husband can eat from the field, just like a field a woman brings into the marriage. Her field, the husband can eat the fruits of the field. So too, if in the middle of the marriage he sells her a field, he still has the right to go and eat from that field as long as they're married. So Biram in general, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Bo, V'chol Gedolei Ador, Amru, B'matana Bikesh Litnola, V'lamakas Lam Yishu Mecher Kedeliapos as Koko. So 1 second. So Rav Huna sent the following thing to this medrash: Hamocher sadel ishto, kansa ubalo choperes. And now we're saying, hold on. In general, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Abo, and all the Gedolei Ador said it's only they argue and they said b'matana, he wanted to give her this as a present. Now, why did he write a language of a sale? Kedeliapos es kocho. So I guess he sent us to Talmidei Beis Medrash, and now we're saying no, it's not true. The husband in that case is not able to eat the peiros.
Yeah.
They argue, right? He said if he sells a field to the wife, you can eat the peiros.
Right.
They said
no.
They said no. Because
He was giving it to her as a gift, so it's some baza.
Not except here.
1 second. So at the end of the day, Rav Huna said if you sell a field to your wife, he said she acquires the field and the husband could eat the fruits. And now we're saying no. Rabbi Abba and Rabbi O, B'chol Gedolei Ador, they said no. They said what? In that the case that you're doing this is b'matana, you're giving to her the field as a present. When you give it to her as a present, and you write down this language of a mecher, like we had earlier, so in that case, she acquires the field, but he cannot eat the pears. I know, but that's not.
But it's the same reason as before.
Why?
Because when we said before that he wrote the gift as a sale to protect her, to protect the field.
And what did Rav Huna think? And Rav Huna said, I sold the field, you could eat the peiros.
Right.
It says go to 51.
So they argue on that.
And they argue on that.
What would happen in that case?
They argue that it should be that he can't eat from the field, that he gave it as a gift.
But I don't get it. Rav Huna said he sold it, and they say he gave it as a gift. So they're not talking to each other.
And then they say, why did he write it as a
got it.
as a sale? So
this case,
the earlier case.
It's referring back to the one where we say the transaction was written. This field is sold to you, my field is given. Why did he write it up as a sale? And then it says, but rather as my field is sold to you, and my field is given to you.
Okay, fine. So, okay, so yeah, fine. Meisvei. Now we're gonna ask a question on this. The same question we asked a few minutes ago. So, lova mina eved, you borrow from an eved, and then you let him free. V'shikro mina isha v'garsha, you borrow from a woman, then you divorce her. Ein lahen alav klum. So you don't get the money back. They don't get the money back. Why? My taima lav mishum de'amrina legalu yezuzi hu debayi. Right. So what do you see? You see that there is such a reason that when you accepted the money, you accepted it because it was really yours. So on that we say, not so fast, but really, people don't want to give shiny house and below the Shabbat inish Evid lo b'li yishmalo. Only by a loan do you say this idea that when he receives the money, he's receiving it as revealing money that was always his to begin with. Yeah.
And that's why he wanted to be a gift.
This would happen. Okay, this would happen. The Gedolei Hador aren't arguing; they're saying a different case, right? Rav Huna sent to the Beis Medrash, when you sell a field to a wife and she buys it, husband could eat peiros. Also, no, I think it's also Rabbi Abba and Rivo. It said in the case that you gave it to her as a matana. So in that case, if you wrote it down in the language of a sale, so then you give it to her as a field. Now that case happens to be you can't eat peiros.
Actually, but
They're just saying like the case before where they wrote the note. Like,
But they're not arguing on Rav Huna. It's just an additional case that was set over in the Beis Medrash.
no, there are.
no, they are arguing
are
because they say the husband is not entitled to the produce.
They're just saying it's
But
like
we
that.
assume he actually wished to give her the field as a gift.
It's like that one where they wrote the gift up as a sale.
Right.
And it's just like he's writing the gift up as a sale, and therefore he's not allowed to eat it. Like anyway, I don't know why that wouldn't mean he wouldn't be allowed to eat it.
Yeah,
He sold it to her, but meant to give it to her as a
Right.
gift, right? Like he wrote it up as a gift up as a sale.
Got it. Meaning, whenever a husband sells a field to his wife, guys, the question's like this: whenever a husband sells a field to his wife, so is that a real sale or just a gift written in the language of a sale? So Rav Huna said it's going to be a real sale. If it's a real sale, the husband can eat the fruits. She owns the land. I get the rights to the produce. The Gedolei Hador, Rabbi Abba and Kollel Hador, they said no. When a husband sells a field to his wife, he doesn't mean to sell it to his wife. He means to give it as a gift. You want to know why he wrote it in the language of a sale? That's because in the event that it's going to get collected, she'll be reimbursed. Like we said earlier. On that, we asked, hold on, whenever you transfer things, if you would transfer something, we asked then from the Eved or the lady who got divorced. Sounds like if you receive money for something, maybe he's receiving the money because it was his the whole time. Now we say it's only by a loan. Okay, I guess we'll start for a minute. The next part.
he was trying to uncover money that might be hidden from him.
Right.
The purpose of doing the whole.
Correct.
But the issue of him not being able to eat the fruit, if
Right.
it was a gift rather than a sale, is because why? Because if it's a gift,
Right. So if it's a gift,
Gift, you should still be.
he's not allowed to eat from it.
correct.
When it comes into
So the Rashbam says, because he's alluding to, the whole Gemara is now going to talk about when he gives something as a gift, can or cannot the husband eat the fruits? That's coming up.
Oh, that's coming.
when
Okay.
a woman comes into marriage, there's two kinds of property. It's malug and it's on bazal.
Correct.
So on bazal, the husband's got no rights to. Is that correct?
So in Barzel means that you take the field and you see how much it's worth, and you put that amount of money into the ksuba, and the field belongs to the husband, but he owes her that money back at the end, no matter what happens to it. It's Barzel, it's strong, it doesn't move at all.
So that's almost the same thing, not quite, but almost.
So what's the difference if you sell the field or you give it to as a present? Which one is it?
So if you give it as a present,
Right.
it's almost like it's on bazal, except it's stronger. Because he doesn't even have any rights to use the field.
And if you sell the field,
If you sell the field, then it becomes look.
why? That's what Jared's asking. What's the difference?
Same here, should the
Look, it's then part of communal property. Inferring from the fact that it can eat, it's almost.
I see why. So it's the why, yeah, why?
Okay, we're going to stop here. We're going to continue from this on